My heart sank when I received a text message from Mum. "Make sure you get the size 10 ones. Last time the top didn't fit," it read. She was sitting on the sofa at home smoking a cigarette when I left to go into town. The last time I had stolen for her, she got angry at me, told me I had wasted her time despite the fact I had narrowly avoided getting caught by police. She often sent me on little errands into town. She would come into my bedroom and put on a saccharine sweet voice and say something along the lines of, "Oh Bonnie, pop into town and pick up that bottle of vodka, would ya?" Or, "Oh Bonnie Pooh, go get me some jewellery for tonight, would ya?" My current trip was initiated by her asking, "Bonbon, go back to that shop and get the t-shirt I liked the other day, would ya?" So there I was, standing in a shop surrounded by beautiful clothing, hunting for the top my mother spotted a few days before. I had no choice. I never really had a choice. I had been stealing for my parents since I was old enough to hold things in my hands. My mother slipped objects into my pocket for as long as I could remember. The bigger my pockets got, the bigger the treasures. I can't even count on both hands the number of times I was caught by security. Mum would feign ignorance and shout at me too, pretending I was just a naughty child. When I was dragged into my teens, they would send me out on my own, with high expectations and low patience. My parents were banned from most of the shops in the area, as they were caught ripping tags off items and stuffing things into my baby sister's pram. So it was down to me to get what they wanted. If I didn't steal things for them, they would threaten me, refuse to feed me, and generally make my life a nightmare. Well, more of a nightmare than it already was. I found the top that she liked. It was a black and lacy thing that weighed barely anything in my hands. I strolled around the shop looking calm and casual as I stroked my fingers down the racks of clothing. I made my way towards the dressing room, and when I was safely locked inside the cubicle, I reached into my bag and got my magnetic tag remover. My parents purchased it from eBay a few years ago. The clothes I had stolen had paid for it 10 times over. With practiced hands, I pulled the security tag off, stuffed the top into the bottom of my bag, and hid the tag underneath the seat. It was moments like this where I reflected on my life. I knew I wasn't normal. None of my friends at school behaved like this, but they didn't know about my life. Dad wasn't around much. He spent more time with his friends than he ever did with us. He always scared me. His face was angular, as if his skin stretched over his skull too tightly. His eyes were sunken and surrounded by dark shadows. The more time Mum spent with him, the more she took on his appearance. Her once plump face became gaunter as the years progressed into my teens. I sighed and exited the dressing room, left to wander the shop again. Stolen top buried at the bottom of my backpack. I did have some money of my own though. I bought sweets and sold them to friends at school for a small profit. My parents didn't know about it, so I stashed the money in a secret box under my bed. I spotted a display of pretty jewellery. Glistening earrings, necklace, and bracelets hung from hooks. One bracelet stood out. It had a thin silver chain and a pendant of a bird in flight dangling off of it. It seemed to be in mid-swoop as it hung in the air. Without considering it for too long, I swiped it from the display and headed over to the counter to pay for it. My heart thudded happily as I paid for it in exact cash. A friendly-looking lady handed me my receipt and told me to have a good day. I smiled back and walked quickly to the exit, securing the delicate chain around my wrist.
"Stop there, young lady,"
a booming voice said from my right. I froze and my breath caught in my throat. Shaking, I turned my head to find a pair of police officers, a man and a woman walking towards me, still unable to breathe. All I could do was blink at them. The male officer said,
"We recognise reports of a young woman going into changing rooms with clothes and not coming back out with them. Can we search your bag?"
Time moved in a blur from that moment. I vaguely remember them searching my bag, taking me for questioning, a long interview process, and then eventually, where I am now. That's how I ended up in foster care. Turns out my parents were being investigated for a while. I'm not sure who tipped them off, but they had an extensive case file. They showed me. My first instinct was to defend my parents. It's what they had taught me to do. But then the thought struck me that if I defended them, I would go back to them. I couldn't face it, so I spilled the truth and I told them everything. I cried, I laughed, I begged. I pleaded for them to take me and my little sister away. I don't know why I'm writing this. I needed to tell my story, I suppose. My life hasn't been normal, and I don't know if it ever will be, but my new foster mum Sharon just called me to dinner. She's kind and gentle, and I think this could be the start of something good for me. It's important for children to understand that stealing is wrong, and it can have serious consequences. However, it's also important to recognize that children who are forced into stealing by their parents may not have much control over their actions. If you find yourself in this situation, it's important to talk to a trusted adult, such as a teacher, counselor, or even a family friend, who can help you get the support and resources you need. They can help you understand that stealing is not your fault, and that there are people who can help you break free from this situation. Remember, you deserve to be safe and cared for, and it's never too late to make a change. With the right support and resources, you can overcome this situation and build a better life for yourself. Don't give up hope. And remember, you're not alone. Can you relate? I'd really love to hear your comments. Like and subscribe to this channel for more real life stories.